and I'll show you just how I do it. The first thing you're going to need to do is put 2½ teaspoons of yeast into a bowl, and then put a 1/4 cup of warm water into the bowl. Make sure it's warm water, not hot water. It'll kill your yeast. Give that a stir and then put it aside and wait for it to get foamy. Over at the stove, you want to put 1 cup of milk in and 1/2 cup of butter. You want to melt the butter and bring the temperature up to warm, just warm. You don't need it hot. Pour your milk and butter into your yeast, then 1/2 cup of white sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon nutmeg, and 1 egg, and give that a stir. Now you can add your flour. You can use all-purpose flour or bread flour. I use half and half bread flour, half all-purpose. It kind of stretches my bread flour a little bit further. You're going to need 4 cups. I start out with 3½ cups. I give that a really nice stir and then see along the way if I need a little bit more flour. I put the remaining flour into the bowl, so I used exactly 4 cups. You want to put a little bit of flour onto your surface. It is a sticky dough. You want to also knead this for about 7 to 10 minutes. After the 7 to 10 minutes is up, it shouldn't be sticking to your hands or the countertop anymore. Then you want to put it into a greased bowl. I usually grease my bowls with extra virgin olive oil. You want to put a clean tea towel over it and put it into a draft-free warm place and let that rise for an hour. After the hour, you want to place your dough on the countertop and knead it. I only knead it for about a minute or so just to get the air bubbles out, and then cut that dough into half. You want to take one of your halves and start rolling it out pretty thin. Try to keep it even, more long than square. And then what I do is I cut it into 3 lengths. This way I'm a little bit more certain of the sizes of the rope that we'll be making. If you just kind of tear off the dough as you go along into 3 different parts, it never quite comes out right. So this way of flattening it out, cutting it into 3 strips, it kind of makes the bread a little bit more even all the way around. Take one of your strips and fold it over and give those seams a really good firm pinch down, and then you can go ahead and start rolling it from the center all the way out, just like you would in a school when you were young and playing with Play-Doh and making ropes. You start from the center and roll and push your way out all the way to the ends. Do that with all of your strips. Try to make them equally long. If they're not equally as long and they're not perfect, no worries, you can always trim the excess. Take your 3 ropes and line them up, and all you want to do is put one rope on top of the other, fold it over and tuck it under, just like you were making a little bun. Now you can start making your braided bread. You're going to get your center piece of the braid and you're going to put it over top of the left one, and the right piece is going to go underneath, and then left under, left under, and right under. You're just going to continue that until you get to the bottom of the bread. When you get to the bottom of the bread, all you're going to do is the exact same thing that you did at the top. Fold it over and tuck it under. Then you're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing with the other half of the bread. After that's done, you'll put it on a cookie sheet with parchment paper. I don't spray it or put butter on it or anything like that. I put a clean tea towel over them, put them in a warm, dry place, and let them rise for 45 minutes. Just before the 45 minutes is up, I put 1 egg and some milk into a bowl and I whip that together. You want it to be a runny consistency to put on the bread. Brush the bread really lightly with your eggs and milk. There's a lot of different ways that you can finish this bread. One typical traditional way that we do it is using a very chunky sugar. It's kind of like a pearl sugar. And I know it seems like there's a lot going on this bread, but you would be surprised at how unsweet it actually is. I get it at a store here in Canada called Denninger's. It's like a German-Dutch store. It's very popular in Sweden. You can get it anywhere there. But that's the traditional way that we finish this type of bread. This goes into the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for approximately 30 minutes. When the bread comes out of the oven and I'm letting it cool, I put a little bit of vanilla, milk, and icing sugar, and I mix that around really well till it's nice and creamy. On the plain bread, I drizzle this all over the top. You can also serve this bread plain. You don't really need anything on the top. It tastes beautiful with just butter. Hopefully you guys will give this a try. Hopefully you guys will have a beautiful, safe, and wonderful Easter. Till next time, hej då.